You're probably wondering, what the heck? Why is there a part 2? Well, if you listen to part 1, then you'll understand why. We get into talking, and Cali recap is huge, so it's essentially its own episode. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys will understand that if you wanted the news for this week, which is February 17th, 2023, just go back to part 1, and if you want to go back and go to the recap, just go back to part 2. So, without further ado, let's hear about their Straight Outta Stumbles recap. Before you really get into Cali, I guess let's go into chronological. When everyone fly in, and you both were at Disneyland on Thursday?
Yes, I was there all day on Thursday. I think
I got there late.
RC were like in the evening.
Yeah.
So I flew in Wednesday. My wife worked Tuesday night. Wednesday morning I dropped my dogs off to the dog sitter, and then we flew out, and we didn't land in LA until like 8:30 LA time. And then we did Disney all day on Thursday. And then URC, I guess you flew in on Thursday.
Yeah, I woke up at, I think, 4 in the morning Eastern time Thursday, and then got to Disney at like 1 p.m. Pacific, or 12 hours later, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then I stayed there until 8:45 p.m. local.
See, you actually got to Disneyland about 2 hours before we left Disneyland.
Yeah.
So we had been there since the morning, and I wanted to see the fireworks and the new fireworks show that's out there, but we were so tired from travel, and my wife had worked all night Tuesday night. We were and I don't know if you saw in the group in the Discord, but how the entire weekend my wife and I just could not find comfort in sleeping at all.
Damn.
We just didn't sleep, and it was like that was probably the only sad part of the stumble for me, is I just felt like I wasn't getting any sleep at all, and it was so. It made me feel like I was like, because we were leaving early on some of the days because we were just so wiped. So I'm sure you saw that in the group chat. I don't know if you both were on the Discord and seeing that, but yeah, sleep was not in my playbook apparently for the entire trip, which wasn't fun.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that. Any reason you think specific?
So I think the Airbnb we booked for because I hate hotel hopping. I don't know about some people. Some people can go from hotel to hotel and not even think twice about it. But like when I get into a certain place, I don't want to have to pack everything up to go to the next place. And so because we were going to be there longer than just the regular stumble, and we were doing stuff on opposite ends of LA, we decided to book an Airbnb in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, without traffic, we were about 45 minutes from the furthest thing either way. Maybe an hour. I know coming home was always longer traffic because of, midday traffic in LA.
Yeah.
But we just didn't want a hotel hop. And so we got this Airbnb, and it was the hardest bed I've ever slept on. And the thing is I prefer a more firm bed, but my wife does not. And the problem with a firm bed is if one person's not sleeping, the other person's not either, because you can feel all of the movement.
Yeah.
And so with her not really getting a whole lot of sleep, I was up and down a lot trying to it made me realize that a medium, our mattress that we have here, is much better because it's more medium, so we both sleep pretty good on it. But it was a mix of that, and then also we were rotating from her working night shift. So my wife works overnights.
Yeah.
And so she had worked all night Tuesday night. Wednesday we were traveling all day. We tried to sleep Wednesday night, but the problem is even though we've been up all day,
Your sleep schedule.
she's used to we're used to sleeping during the day. So it was just a mix of all of that. I think if I could redo like the scenario, I probably would have skipped out on Disney on Thursday and done Disney on the Monday that we didn't have any like crazy plans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just tried to rotate in our own bed the next day, and then flew in on Thursday instead. But I mean, it's fine. The trip was great, still 100% great. But I wish I would have slept better. I think that would have been a better, made it even more of an experience, in my opinion. So yeah, when you got to the park, we were basically getting ready to walk out. But we did both parks. Did you do both parks at Disney?
I did. So
Okay.
I had a very tiring day because I
I
did
could imagine.
both parks with Genie Plus. So, I mean, I got everything that I wanted to do, and so I even left a little bit early and Ubered back to the hotel.
Now, were you staying at the hotel by Valencia, or by Knott's?
I ended up getting something near Disneyland to try and curb the Uber costs.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Which worked out. And then I had to wait until I waited until like 1 a.m. Pacific. So 4 a.m. Eastern, so I was up for 24 hours. I was just waiting for Daniel to get, because he had a late flight.
Yeah.
Oh, he got in at 1 a.m?
Or well, once he got to LAX and got the rental and drove over to Anaheim and stuff.
Yeah.
Which
I mean,
it wasn't a big deal,
40
but
minutes.
yeah.
Sheesh.
But it was a long day. It was tiring, and then
I bet you crashed.
Yeah.
When you got in that. Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean, that's the reason why he almost greened out as well.
Yeah.
Man went the whole day, and then got some Cali Kush.
Yeah, and that it hit like a train.
I bet.
I honestly didn't feel better until like Daniel got there, and then we just started chatting about like my day at Disney and stuff, and then I finally calmed down. But like before he got there, I was just like, dude, I'm about to green out off this gas.
Now, when it comes to Disney, RC, this is a good question for you, I think. Have you done Tower of Terror at like Disney World or?
I haven't, but I will within a week of us talking.
Yeah, you said you're gonna go to. You're going down there to see the college.
Yeah, so I'm doing that. I'm going to all the parks. I think I'm going to Hollywood Studios on Tuesday, the 21st.
I want to. So you rode Guardians, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're obviously going to see the differences in the way the ride works.
Yeah.
But I really want to hear I want you to message me or whatever to tell me what your thoughts are about Tower of Terror. So it's a completely different experience, obviously, because of the storyline, but also, unlike Guardians, you actually have a moving car, and you'll see what I mean. I thought
Guardians was so fun.
Well, Guardians was incredible. It's the best rethemed attraction at Disney, and I've done. I think that Disneyland's Marvel Universe, like the Marvel
Avengers Campus,
Avengers Campus, far exceeds Paris's Avengers Campus.
I thought it looked awesome. I thought it was
like
awesome.
10 times over. I will say I have ridden the Rock and Roller Coaster retheme to the Avengers Flight Force or whatever at Disneyland Paris. And it is trash compared to the retheme that Guardians was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Guardians was incredible, but I think that you're going to enjoy Tower of Terror as the story. And I think the theming in Tower of Terror, you're going to be like, wow, you'll see why that people in Florida will not want anybody to take it away.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite rides in Disney. 100%.
Yeah, same. And I mean, I'm a little sad that you're going to Hollywood because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Rock and Roller Coaster is down for maintenance right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a good ride, but it's not. I mean, it's not the best thing ever. Yeah, I think Slinky Dog is better in my opinion.
Oh my!
That might be a hot take,
West.
but
you know who else is live right now?
Who?
Coaster Talk.
So every Drunk Riders, Coaster Talk, just everyone just. See, this is what happens when we get off schedule.
what is your normal schedule, and how bad did I goof it?
No, you didn't goof it at all.
I don't think we.
But like generally,
I think we tried it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, every 2 weeks, but generally it's out by Wednesday. So I'm sorry for anyone that messed up your mojo. Because I know when I listen to podcasts and all of a sudden they stop, I'm just like, no.
Hey, that's what happened to me with Coaster Talk.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
I have wanted to start a podcast about coasters. I've been thinking about it, mostly to talk to people because I am from Central Florida and I have a lot of friends that work in the industry and work like in different sections of the theme park industry. I've thought about doing it. Yeah. But the problem is a lot of the people are under things they can't talk about some things.
Right.
You know, like I have a friend who is a show control or something. He does something show related to Harmonious.
Ooh.
And so there's a lot of information that he could be talking about, but he can't talk about. If that makes sense.
So yeah,
no,
I get that.
So like I'm trying to figure out if I even want to like dive into it. Plus I travel full time, like with my wife. So like I would have to do it kind of like you guys are doing it, you know, and I really want to have a video version at some point, like if I do a podcast. So I don't know. It may be something that comes down the pipeline. But until then, I will gladly jump on, you know, podcast with other coaster friends and chat about it. I love it. So
obviously, yeah. Anytime that, even honestly, let's say if RC is out somewhere or I'm out somewhere, there needs to be a cast.
Yeah. That could work.
I mean, just let me know. I will always, I will almost always, if I am free, be willing to talk about roller coasters and whatever else. But back to, if we want to get back to the Stumble.
So I know you were saying, well, you were saying you guys had a shorter day at Disney, but opened the park. What all did you get done at Disney?
Everything. I mean, literally, we didn't. The only thing I didn't get is the left side of Matterhorn.
Oh, I got you.
I got the right side, but I didn't do the left side because after I rode it the first time, I was like, I had a headache because that thing is
jank.
Oh, it had more than that, man. It had Shreveport, Louisiana roads level of shaking. I don't know if you know much about Shreveport, but it was brutal.
It was an interesting experience.
You see, for us here, we like a little bit of jank. Sometimes a lot.
I do too.
If it works.
But that jank was real bad.
Yeah. See, RC out of there, he said it was good jank.
I did say it was good jank.
It was jank that made my head jank. I'll say that. I felt like I was.
It made me laugh. For some reason, I don't know.
There wasn't. It was probably the least themed Disney ride I've ridden in a long time, which is okay because it's. I mean, it wasn't like in your face, like okay, but it is. I mean, how old is it? When did that come out? Open?
A long time ago.
I mean,
I wish Timmy were here to just tell us right as soon as you said that.
I'll check real quick. It was 1959.
I wanted to say 57, but I thought that was
shit.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
That's
mean, the jank makes sense. But yeah, that's crazy that it's that old, and so it makes sense.
That's
but
the ride that
good
started.
Lord.
It's the first steel tubular track.
Yeah.
So it's also historic. So that's another reason I really want to get a ride on it. And it really feels like you can feel the history.
I will say, I don't know about you, RC, but my opinion, I prefer DCA over Disneyland Park.
Whoa.
I prefer it.
I would personally say Disneyland, but I had 8 hours and I spent like five and a half at Disneyland, so I had not a lot of time at DCA.
See, I think my opinion's a little skewed to thinking, because I compare everything to Florida, but that's just because I grew up with Disney World. So I think Disneyland Park is this may be a hot take. I'm preparing myself to say this out loud. Have you ever thought about something you're gonna say and felt nervous because people are gonna be like, "What did you just say?"
Yes.
Well, I think about it and then I just let it flow.
Oh, yeah, that's RC.
Right, well,
he just says Skyrush is under Tambili and goes with it.
well, here it comes. I think Disneyland Park is a knockoff version, even though it was original, a knockoff version of Magic Kingdom.
Oh man. No, we need Timmy for that. Oh my god.
I want you to clip that and use it as a TikTok or like a reel, and I will share it multiple times. And I think it's because I'm so used to Magic Kingdom and the way it flows that it didn't feel like it flowed as well in California.
So what about the rides themselves?
The rides and Genie Plus, great. Honestly, Genie Plus works better out, or like Lightning Lane and all that works so much better at Disneyland than it does at Disney World. 100 times over. I mean, like, there wasn't I didn't feel like I had to worry about if a ride was going to run out of lightning lanes by the end of the day. You know, where some rides, like at Hollywood Studios, you get a return time for Slinky Dog at 8 o'clock when the park opens. You may not be able to actually come back and ride that ride until 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna shitpost here. I've got something clip worthy as well.
Okay.
I want to say is like, so for me, I am not a Disney park goer like at all. I have like little to no experience.
Same for the most part.
So my meme that I kind of took away after like having to rush and do everything at Disneyland and DCA in like 8 hours on minimal sleep is that people take it so seriously. And like, I'm kind of memeing it because I'm like, I literally have no experience and I just bought a ticket and like figured it out and did everything. Like, how are you guys taking it so seriously? And like, I don't know.
So
I think
we talked about this like before you got on, and I was saying like, yeah, RC was able to finish both parks pretty fast, and like I think Aaron could take this away. The difference is how they implement Genie Plus and Lightning Lane and 4 parks, all that stuff.
And not just that, but you gotta. So coming from somebody who's done both, now I personally could give 2 shits about Disney. And I mean, if Disney ever wanted to invite me out for something cool, I would gladly come, but don't expect, like, if I were to ever get invited by Disney to do something, they would have to understand that I'm going to be completely honest and I'm not going to bullshit because it's Disney. Because that's just how much I just don't care about Disney overall. My wife, on the other hand, loves Disney. So I enjoy Disney because she enjoys Disney. I will take her to every Disney. We've been to 3 of the 6. You know, we will continue to go, but I'm not going to be like, I'm less excited about Disney than I am Magic Mountain. I would rather go to a Six Flags park and ride a shitload of roller coasters than a Disney park. That's just my opinion. But on the side of it, coming from somebody who has a lot of experience at Disney World, and I've done Disneyland Paris and with now Disneyland, Disney World does not implement Lightning Lane well at all, and Genie Plus does not work out well at all, in my opinion. I think you have a better use of Genie Plus and Lightning Lane at Magic Kingdom than you do, say, at Hollywood Studios. And the difference is the amount of rides that are in the park. So you go to Magic Kingdom, you have Peter Pan, you have, Seven Dwarfs, you have all these different rides, and Seven Dwarfs is like it's an individual Lightning Lane, kind of like Rise is at Disneyland. So like there's a lot more rides, so the more rides, the more they can kind of spread people out over them. Mm-hmm. But like a ride like Hollywood Studios that has like 7, I think, attractions, 7 or 8 major attractions that are Lightning Lane. When you're trying to pack, I don't even know what I couldn't tell you the number of people that are allotted into Hollywood Studios a day, but let's just say, I don't even know if it's a low number, 20,000 people. Trying to spread that over 7 attractions in a day is kind of hard.
And that's the thing that's been hurting it. Is like they're taking out.
And that's the same problem at all of the other parks except Magic, because Magic has the most amount of rides. Yeah. But even then, Magic's also one of the highest wanted parks to go to in Central Florida. When you talk to some people and you're like, "Hey, I'm going to Disney World," they don't think of Epcot walking around the world. They don't think of Animal Kingdom riding Everest. They don't think of Hollywood Studios riding Rock and Roller Coaster. They think of the Disney Castle.
They think of taking a picture for Facebook, yeah.
Correct. And so when you have more people going to Magic Kingdom in a day, it's kind of hard still to spread that many people out. Whereas Disneyland, you notice, like going to Disneyland, there weren't like signs that say Disney or Disneyland. When you're driving down I-4, part of I-4 turns into Disney World.
Yeah.
Like, your experience starts when you're on the interstate. So, and that's where I think you did 8 hours in the park and you were able to get everything done. Yeah. But you couldn't do that even at Magic Kingdom in one day.
I think so recently I've done Epcot and I'm about to do Hollywood Studios, and then I did.
Yeah, and I really look forward to what you do.
So I would honestly say that just from what I've experienced recently, plus just being in that Orlando area, Disneyland just feels way more chill than Walt
100%.
Disney World Resort. And I like
for
that.
Sure.
And I don't say that to discredit Walt Disney World, because honestly I've been enjoying my overall Disney experience lately, so I want to hit all the parks.
And I think they're worth hitting. And that's the thing is I will never say no to going to Disney World, but that's because, for instance, I haven't ridden Guardians yet, and I'm from Florida. Yeah. I could, but I haven't, because it's do I want to have to get up at 7 a.m. to get a virtual queue? And that's where I think a lot of the coming from somebody who lives there, I couldn't imagine being somebody who doesn't live there, who's booked an entire vacation, and you're saying, I'm going to Epcot on this day. I have to be up at 6:45 on a vacation to book a virtual queue for a ride that you may not even get a boarding group for. Whereas you could book a World of Color when they were doing that, what was that, World of Color or whatever at Disneyland.
Show at DCA.
Yeah, at DCA. Getting a virtual queue for that seemed like it was no big deal. Getting a virtual queue for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway out there seemed like it was cakewalk.
That's a new attraction.
Here, brand new. It opened literally a couple days before we were there. Mm-hmm. Wow. But I also noticed the park out there, people didn't really start showing up until we were leaving. I mean, people were coming after work.
It's a lot more local park. I mean, I've heard that plenty. But
I guess that's why they kind of call it a small regional park compared to Walt Disney World being a whole resort. Right. And crazy to think about.
It's just one of those, I prefer DCA, but I would prefer, personally, if I lived close to either one, I would actually have annual passes to Disneyland over Disney World. That's only because I could go there, at after work or after, I woke up, I could be like, okay, let me go up, let me go over there and grab a corn dog, or let me go do that. Whereas you go to Disney World, it's not, even when you didn't have to have a park reservation, it was still a process to get there and park and go through all of the steps to get to, like, dealing with hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Literally at one time. I don't know. I think that 8 hours at Magic Kingdom may get you 2 or 3 rides, whereas 8 hours at Disneyland was able to get you both parks and get you done with everything. So I don't know. That's my thing. But you like Disneyland Park though better, and I like DCA, and I think DCA just reminded me more of a amusement style park instead of it being a theme park per se. Also, side note, whoever decided to build that Ferris wheel that swings can roll over in their grave. That thing was terrible.
I did not try it.
It's like one of the main. I don't know what it's called, but it's like one of the main things in the skyline at DCA for sure.
Yeah, and it swings. The whole damn car swings. It doesn't make sense. Me and my wife rode it with some like 10-year-olds who were having a ball, and I'm sitting there wanting to have a meltdown that this thing is rolling like that. And I'm like, how do they stop this thing from fully swinging upside down?
Yeah, I know when I see those, I'm generally confused too. So I'm like, is this a thrill ride? Or like a...
Nope. Was not a fan. I did it, but I won't do it again. I'll say that.
I'm definitely interested if I ever get a chance to get in, because there are a few across, parks. They're not common, but that's probably the most common one. Or I could probably get on, like, guarantee. Have to really look out for it. So I have to see, because those always looked interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, I would rate Disneyland overall. I mean, I would say it's worth, if you're going to be in Southern California, it's worth the day trip out there. But I wouldn't plan for more than a day if you're not going like on a major holiday or. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it could be done in a day.
Yeah, I think it's a day, even for both parks. I think it's a day trip. I mean, obviously, if you go on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, or spring break, you might see other types of a different experience. But going on a Thursday, it was quiet for the most part. I mean, single rider lines were cake. If you wanted to ride something twice, jumping on a single rider line was like no big deal.
What'd you guys think of Incredicoaster?
I liked
it. It was a good coaster. I actually got some 360 footage on it. I brought my 360 cam on it.
All right,
so I'll be posting that soon. I'm gonna make like a reel out of it. I've got so much footage that I have to go through and like sort and file. That it's going to take me probably the next day or two to go through everything and figure out where things go. And it's so much footage.
That sounds exciting.
Incredicoaster, though, for it being, it's the launch. The touch I really liked the most, I think, was in the launch. The store, like the theming behind it is that Flash is taking you on a run, basically. And I love when you launch the water that runs, like the little jets that make it look like
it's like the movie.
He is running next to you on the water.
That's cool.
I thought that was a nice touch for theme. But yeah, I mean, it was a coaster. It's I wouldn't say that it's in my top anything really, but it's a coaster. Goofy's Sky School was still the worst.
I like that. It's coaster.
That Goofy's Sky School, man. I was actually talking about my video, like my 360 footage, because I had just left it on because they're right next to each other. I was actually talking about Cedar Point's Wild Mouse that they're putting in. I'm like, maybe it'll beat this one. We'll see.
It was not good.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it hurt.
Well,
Yeah.
the next
Basically,
day, you guys went to a place that had a lot better coasters. And that's where I'm going to take my FOMO hit, because that's where the stumble officially began. Knott's Berry
yes.
Farm. Go. I want to hear everything.
This was a bucket list park for me.
100%. 100.
I have wanted. Over the last year, I've said if I go to California, I want to hit Knott's Berry Farm. Even if I didn't hit anything else, that's something I really wanted to hit. I almost went back on Monday, but we ended up doing something else on Monday, which we can get into later. But I was pleasantly surprised. I was actually worried that it wasn't going to live up to the hype. Like getting there and like walking up to the park, I was getting kind of like nervous. Like, is this actually going to live up to everything that like I've thought it to be? And I would say it did. It lived up to everything that I thought it would be. It was really, really nice park. The theming, especially in Ghost Town, incredible.
Good.
I enjoyed it. I think it was a great park.
The park
At
had
least
a
my
lot of charm.
opinion of the park.
There's a lot of charm and a really good atmosphere.
Yeah. Everybody I talked to had really all the employees, all the like team members. I don't think I ran into one team member that had like any kind of like I don't want to be here attitude. I think everybody seemed really, really happy to be at work, which felt nice.
Yeah.
Compared to some parks I've been to, understandably so in some places, some parks and places, but the Knott's chicken dinner,
Ooh.
great,
That
fantastic.
was really good.
Boysenberry wine. My wife she liked it so much we bought a bottle to go back to our Airbnb with. And then I had the boysenberry beer at lunch, which was more like a ale. It was like a light. It was super light. Someone said that it was like shock top with a hint of boysenberry, and I would say that's a fair judgment of what it tasted like.
Okay.
So,
not the biggest shock top guy, but when I'm there, I'm definitely getting a boysenberry beer. So,
yeah, it was really good. I liked it. My wife did not like it. But she doesn't like beer, so I can't really dog her on that. Ghost Rider was
my to meet
first.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, what was your opinion, RC, on like of Ghost Rider? Was it like anything special to you?
Yes. Well, I'm a huge Woody stan, so
that's kind of why I asked.
Ghost Rider, I made my 200th credit.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, okay. So
Thank you.
was congrats on that.
So that was my milestone.
Now this was a CCI, right?
Yes. It's like converted. It's a CCI but GCI, like retracted or something like that.
Okay.
I was complaining about the Millennium Flyers.
Of course.
My wife ended up in my lap on that ride with the laterals in that helix. I'm so glad that she was in my, because she would have died if I was on the other side. Because like I would have been literally on top of her with those laterals that were. It was wild. I didn't get to get a night ride on it because we left probably about 5:30.
Oh, did you go to the breweries?
I fully intend on making it. No, I didn't go to the breweries we were going to, but the one we stopped by, parking was like non-existent. It was so busy. And I said, I looked at, my wife looked at me, she's like, I'm tired. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to go try to find a parking spot in this brewery. And so we went back to the Airbnb and tried to sleep, which failed. But I should have stayed for a night ride on Ghost Rider because it looked like it would have been insane.
So much
warmed
track,
up.
man.
It definitely improved throughout the day.
That's any
And I
Woody.
mean,
I-
it was a great Woody. To say where I rank it, it's my number 17.
So it's not top 15.
It is not.
I would agree that it warmed up and got better through the day. So like we started the day with Ghost Rider. So
Yeah.
like when we got there, we went and rode Ghost Rider. And I was shocked by it the first time. We rode it in the very back row for the first ride. And I was shocked by it. Anyways, I was like, wow, that's really good. Like I was like, that's surprisingly good. And that, you know, the train cars, the flyers were great. I was like, man, this is actually a really good ride. And I was kind of shocked by it because I was like, okay, what should I expect? We were talking about POVs. I try not to watch POVs at all, ever.
You're like RC then.
Yeah.
But I try not to because I feel like if I do, sometimes I lose the excitement of what surprises may come.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
And I'd never seen a POV of Ghost Rider at all. And so we went back later that day and we got another back row ride. And the amount of holy shits that came out of my mouth should have had me banned from the park. like I'm really glad there weren't a bunch of children on the ride because like I was baffled by how much better it ran when it warmed up. It was insane. So I agree that it warmed up and became a whole new monster.
The one thing about Ghost Rider is the operators did not let you pick your row.
Oof.
And that was...
Yeah.
That hindered
I
the experience a little bit.
It just so happened. I don't know how it happened that we got 2 back row rides, but
I think it's they assigned because the
just couldn't
station is
happen.
so small. Like they don't want people stacking for certain rows and then
That did hinder the experience a little bit, but like overall I still think that I got very solid rides on it, like in a warmed up state too, so I have a good feel for the ride. And but overall I think I was a little underwhelmed because I think maybe I just had higher expectations for it being a CCI and what everyone talks about, but I mean still 17 out of 221 is high, so
I cannot.
And that's a
Magic
solid
Mountain
placement.
gives the biggest boost in credits. Holy shit!
I did.
221.
Yeah, I went from 193 to 221, so I get 28 credits on this trip.
My God, bro.
Wow.
Definitely a bit of a cheat code.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I put up my story. I was like, Chad 200 plus credit count with my simp. It's about to be 100 plus just off of this trip. Like, I gotta sneak away, bro. I gotta go to like Australia. I gotta go to Japan. Get like places that just like it might be a few years. So I got some buffer.
Oh God,
I plan on boosting my.
You're gonna make me care about kitty creds.
I did get the kitty cred at Knott's.
I didn't do many kitty creds just because I was not. Well, one, we were tired, obviously, like I've been saying, without sleep. But so I was more focused on. I'll always come back, so like I'm not like worried about cred running like crazy. But I will say, I fully plan on boosting my cred count quite high this year because I got, Stumbles of Fun, which is
Yeah.
I'm really gonna try to make happen. But I'm also gonna try to turn that into like a trip for me. Like I'm gonna try to take a week and fly out to KC and rent like a sprinter van that's like a camper sprinter van and do like a roller coaster road trip for like a week. But we'll see what happens. I plan on hitting both Fiesta, Texas and over Texas and SeaWorld San Antonio and try to get Texas off the map for the most part with all this stuff. I'm going to do Hershey and Dollywood this year, Silver Dollar City. I have a laundry list, and I might try to make my buddy me and my buddy might try to go hit Canada Wonderland, just for the shits and giggles.
Yeah, I need to get my passport.
We'll see what happens. If I hit all the parks I want, I will probably be a solid way through the hundreds, getting close to the 200.
Oh.
So I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Knott's overall was a good park. It kept up with my expectations of what I hoped. Like I said, I enjoyed Hang Time more than I like Ghost Rider, but I think it was because I love the elements.
I think Hang Time was definitely a sleeper because I had no clue what to expect, and I think that's that's the biggest Gerstlauer I've ridden. I thought it was really good. So
that damn yeet hill, that final yeet, like the amount of ejector that I came out of my seat from was another world of like. His Jake was like, "There's a yeet moment on this," and I was like, "Is there?" And he's like, "Yeah, wait, you'll know." And he wasn't wrong. I knew.
I'd actually, West, I'd compare that to Steel Curtain a little bit.
Ooh.
But it's definitely, it has its stall before you drop, like the dive element. It's got but it's got like the whip of the inversions that Steel Curtain has. I feel like.
Yeah, it was. I think you're right. It was a sleeper. I wasn't expecting it to be as good, which is why it probably, everybody hyped up in Discord and stuff talking about Ghost Rider and rope dropping Ghost Rider and blah blah blah. So I kind of like expected it to be the best in the park, which is why I really liked Ghost Rider. But that's why I think Hang Time kind of snuck in a win for me there because I had no idea what I was walking into.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew about it, but I wasn't fully invested in the elements and everything that it offered until I was on it. And so it kind of changed my view on it, I guess, a little bit of what if I would have probably watched a POV or it would have been as hyped up, I probably would have not thought the same, but it really kind of stood out to me.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were having middling opinions on Ghost Rider in general. It was not just you guys. In fact, they went from just saying it's a Woody.
Definitely elite.
So Woodies have never been my oh, I love Woodies, but that it was definitely a Woody to remember.
So it was only one day, and you guys had 2 days at Magic Mountain because of 2 days of ERT with 3 separate rides each day.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, that shit was nuts.
Yeah, amazing. I think the drunk riders themselves do enough endorsement, but these events I feel advertise themselves. How much was it again? $50?
$50.
For 6 rides of
$50 a person
at Six Flags Magic Mountain.
And food.
And
a backstage tour with the maintenance manager.
If you're an enthusiast, you're probably, and you didn't know about this, probably what? Now you do. the Buzz Bars,
Yeah.
they make shit happen. They make these events unlike, like,
I mean, the Cliff Tour, for example.
I mean, just before, like, in November, you were get to be at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, talking to the president of the park, and getting a Cliff Tour.
Yeah. I mean,
that had to have been insane. I literally, somebody said something about that, and I'm like, if only I would have known. That would have been like a dream for me.
yeah, it was insane.
So like, get to walk the quarry wall.
It was insane.
Like, from my first Stumble 325 till now, I'm like, I need to get to one. Again, so bad.
I forget that I went to Stumble 325. Wow.
Yeah, like, that was a whole year ago
been to
almost.
4 events now because I've done Stumble 325. I was hanging out with them at Hollywood Nights. I did the Fiesta Texas Stumble, and I did this last one in Cali.
Regardless, shout outs.
Stumbles are can't miss events.
To the Stumbles, to the Buzz Bars, and even the mini ones, the Wobbles. Don't forget those.
Yes.
Those are still going to be they won't be as, like, I guess, magnificent, we'll say. Won't have as many features. But the Buzz Bars themselves, like, as the community, they stand on their own. Like, so.
I'll also say from a person who's this is my first Stumble, my first event with Buzz Bars in general. Like, it was kind of, so I mean, I have meeting people in person can kind of be awkward to me in general.
Yeah.
And like, I'm glad that I got involved in like the Discord and talking to people via Discord, because it made meeting people less awkward.
Yeah.
But I will say it was awesome to see, like, there was not a point that I felt out of place for it being my first Stumble, even though like there were 100 people plus at this event. I didn't ever feel like I was just like out of place.
Yeah.
And everybody's super welcoming. So I had a great time, and I thought my social anxiety was going to be way worse, but it was definitely, it's not nearly, I thought it was going to be super intimidating with that many people, but I could only imagine what it would be like with, less, like, I know this was the biggest event they've had. So, man, if they're that welcoming with over 100 people, I could only imagine how close and friendly you get whenever it's 30 or 40.
Yeah.
So
it's such a great group of people.
So, how did you guys' day start on Saturday?
Oh, well, it started with West Coast Racers and Apocalypse.
Let me know. Let me hear it.
It did.
Oh, I want to hear everything.
It did, in fact.
So was that ERT for both?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
X2 wasn't quite ready in the morning.
Well,
yeah, they basically said that they literally said basically, so we're gonna start with Apocalypse and West Coast Racers because X2 is gonna not be ready until about 9:40. By 9:35, I would say almost everybody was waiting for X2 to open. Like, everybody had done their stuff on West Coast and on Apocalypse and made their way to X2 because, like, that's how prepared everyone was. So West Coast, I mean, it's a coaster. I know it sounds terrible, but I hate describing a coaster just as a coaster, but like, I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, here's my top 100 coasters. Like, I've ridden 106, I think it is, I said, but
yeah,
like, I'm not the type that's going to be able to rank everyone from 1 to 106. I'm just not. Like, yeah. I could give you a top 10, and I still would have to think about it and really like pick apart certain parts of rides. So like, West Coast Racers, it's a good ride. If I'm at Magic Mountain, and I had an option, like if I only had a certain amount of options to ride, uh, it's a hit or miss for me. It's like, okay, if it's open and I'm near it, I'll ride it. But it's not like I have to go to Magic Mountain and I have to ride West Coast Racers.
That's kind of how it was for me too. Like I went and I rode West Coast and Apocalypse, and I kind of was like, yeah, those are okay. I'm gonna go wait for X2. When it came down to re-rides, I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm not going back to those. I'd rather ride Wonder Woman, X2, and Colossus.
And they were also a little off the beaten path, in my opinion, of the park. Like they were in their own little area.
And it's not, I don't really go out of my way to go ride those two rides.
Right. Apocalypse, I was kind of surprised by the airtime I was getting off of it, but it wasn't like memorable per se. I hate down talking coasters, but like when you start comparing them to other coasters, you kind of have to like, okay, what about it was memorable? You know,
I just wasn't super impressed. And as someone who like really likes wooden coasters, I just wasn't impressed enough with my morning ride on Apocalypse. I was like, let me go back to that section of the park to get another ride when there were so many other better options to choose from.
Well, I went back there on the second day to get B-roll, just because like I didn't get any like off-ride shots of it.
Yeah.
And I just like I could have rode both. Both were like walk-ons, and like I was standing right there recording them, and I still didn't. So if that tells you kind of how I felt about them, I'm like,
yeah,
I was too tired to even accept a walk-on on either one at the end of day 2. So does that tell you what I think about it? I don't know.
So West Coast Racers for you, RC, I guess.
I mean,
you agree?
It was, I mean, the comfort collars kind of killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very anti-comfort.
I mean, yes, big time, same. But also, I will say the theming around West Coast Racers though was not bad. It's kind of quirky, you know, the storyline, but like it did have an actual theme to it. I mean, that's better than most Six Flags rides.
I would agree.
Like they had a like the queue line was a garage. I know we had ERT, but like I still did look around while I walked through the queue and like looked at like what the story and while you're waiting for them to load on the other side of the Mobius track, there was like a story. So like I could give it props for that. Like they tried, but Six Flags trying to do theming is kind of like me trying to be a nurse, like my wife. It doesn't work well most of the time. So,
and then you work with Premiere, which generally for me is just, I'm not a fan of many of their products at all. So,
well, Full Throttle is pretty good.
Yeah, Full Throttle was a shocker to me. I was pleasantly surprised by it. Also, I don't watch POVs. We'll get into that tomorrow. I don't watch the next, in a minute for the next day. But I don't watch POVs, so I didn't know Full Throttle had a backwards track. Like I didn't know it went backwards until I was like on it. So I'll take it where it is. But I mean that's all the pre-ERT. But when X2 opened,
that was.
I can only describe it as the mind blown emoji.
Yeah.
That was insane.
I mean, just to drop a bomb here, X2 is my new number 1. So.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, you just shook up a whole lot of shit right there.
I told you. Like literally, I need to go back
Damn.
and like go. I don't know, bro. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
How many rides did you get on X2?
I did not decide that right away. Let me get the total.
Because you said it was top 10.
Let me get the total here.
How many rides did you get altogether? Because like getting a lot of rides really will dictate your ranking too. Because you get to ride it, you get to really feel it.
I actually only got 10 rides on it over the 2 days.
That's enough to rank it. That's plenty.
And I mean, holy shit. You know, and it's not exactly that it has the most duration, the most airtime, you know, the highest drop, the speed. Like it's not some record holder or anything, but it is just so damn unique. And like the things that it does and hits on, I'm just like out of breath on the brake run every ride. Like, holy shit, Alan Schilke, you madman.
You know, I personally, you did throw a bombshell out there by making it your number one. But I could agree that it could be a number one. I mean, my wife, she would agree with you 100%. She got off and she's like, "That's my new number one." And I went, "Really?" And she's like, 100%. She goes, so she has an odd top 5 anyways. I mean, it goes like, I think her number one before that was Twisted Cyclone over Georgia.
Yeah.
She loves it. You know, that's literally her number one ride, which is like mine's Gwazi. My number one is Gwazi.
Yeah.
Obviously, like it just is top tier in my opinion.
Yeah, we can agree on that.
You know, so that's my number one, but my wife hates Gwazi.
Huh.
You know, and she hates Gwazi, and I don't know, this may be, I would love to dig into RMC's brain about it. And Twisted Colossus had the same thing, so I'll kind of dip into this. It feels like the trains almost rotate. Like the trains don't feel so stiff. And I know that RMC like transitioned to new trains at one point. It almost feels like the train rocks. Not a lot, but enough that like when you go into an element, it doesn't feel like it whips you into the element. It kind of
rocks.
There's a little buffer to it and rocks you into it. I don't know if that's confirmed. I have no fucking idea. But I will say that I genuinely, like, she is dead set that she feels like the train's rock. And so, like, I rode Twisted Colossus, which would have the old trains, and I could almost agree that it feels like the train almost rocks a tad. So when you go into an inverted element of sorts, or into an overbank turn, you don't feel like you're getting jolted into that position. Whereas like on Gwazi, now that could just be the sheer speed, but like every time you're getting thrown into an element, there's no give. It's constant. Like it's adrenaline all the way through, where I don't know, but that's why her number one was Twisted Cyclone, is because it feels like it does that and she enjoys that more. But she got off X2 and said, "This is my new number one." And I had to question her for a second, because I'm like, I don't know if it hits my number one. It's in my top 5, but I don't know if I can make it my number one.
I kind of knew it after night 1, because we got like a triple last ride of the night. Yeah.
We rode it together, technically, like right next to each other, right front and back of each other in that morning. And I will say the back is, because we rode it in the front the first time and then the back that second ride. We were closer to the back with you on that second ride. And the back is way more vicious than the front.
Yeah, I like
100%.
it more towards the back, but the first drop in the front is unbelievable too.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
really, but it's one of those rides where there's no bad row.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think that there would be any bad row on that ride. I would probably put it in my top 5, but I don't know if I could put it. in my top 3. So it's probably sitting at 4 or 5. I'd have to kind of do some, like, really digging deep, but X2 is still mind blowing. It makes me very excited for whenever I get to go to Japan, for Fuji Q Highland. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, that looks. From what I hear, it's like X2 on drugs. So
it's X2's
the elements, yeah, and the elements are even crazier. So
RC,
I don't know. I guess we'll.
You already know what your number 1 is in the future.
Oh, Ejonica?
Yeah, you don't have to guess. You just know, man. Isn't that great?
We'll see. We'll see how things change over time. My body might not be able to handle X2 in a few years like it did this trip.
I mean,
you've got a long time going for you, man.
But I mean, just seriously, X2 was just such an out-of-body experience, and having ridden absolutely nothing like it, and the only 2 other things like it being so hard to attain in Dynaconda and Ejonica, it just, it seems like a no-brainer for me to put it where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, and it was definitely the highlight coaster of the trip, in my opinion.
I agree.
Because of its uniqueness and everything. But I will say, going to Magic Mountain, riding X2 made it worth going to Magic Mountain overall. Yeah. I mean, there's tons of other coasters there, but like, if X2's not open, I would be very sad going to Magic Mountain.
You know, I was so sad thinking that Twisted Colossus was going to be closed, because the initial quote was that it was going to be closed for a whole week, and they got it open Sunday morning. And I'm so grateful that that opened, because it's amazing.
The team at Magic Mountain, everyone from the ride ops to the maintenance team that somehow magically made that come to life. I mean, I wonder if they could feel the sheer like sigh that happened whenever we heard that they were like, we got to do something, because he was dead set in that backstage tour when he said he can't even get the parts until Saturday or something like that. He said or Friday or Saturday, which was like the next week. You know what I mean? And so he put work in and got us on it, and they went above and beyond to make sure that ride opened, and I major props to Magic Mountain for that and the whole team behind it.
X2 is like one of my biggest curiosities, man.
Listen, I will 100% get on an airplane and go back to California to ride X2. You just let me know.
So what's a top 10 guaranteed, bro? Fuck! Well, I'll be looking for flights in the future. What was the next thing that happened in your day? Was it just because I'm assuming the picnic was?
I did. Well, the shop tour was Saturday. That was after we did X2. It was the shop tour morning, but I skipped that and I credit ran with Dan. So we went and did all the credits.
So I can attest to the tour a little bit. I was kind of overwhelmed with the tour because they tried to fit all of us into this maintenance shop, and you're not wanting to touch anything because it's, you're trying to stand kind of like shoulder to shoulder with that many people.
So was this the second day or the first day?
This is the first day.
Okay.
This was the cycle shop before the lunch, and it's where they do all the maintenance and all the work on the train cars and stuff like that. and it was really cool. The hard thing is like I'm so intrigued by all the things I'm seeing that I had a hard time listening. So I may not be the best to tell you everything that was said. I picked up bits and pieces. I did one fun fact. I actually put it in my notes in my phone because I was shocked by it. So Superman at Magic Mountain, which I did not like personally. I just didn't feel. I feel like it offered so little for what it was, but they only run Superman at 63%.
Really?
Yeah, they only run Superman at 63% power, and that gets it on its launch up to 103 miles an hour. So, take that as you will. I think they should bump it higher. But he said that Superman also can grow 6 inches, like the steel can on a hot summer day, will expand up to 6 inches taller.
So the ride is taller
on a hot summer day. Yeah, the steel kind. You know how like heat can make stuff expand.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the way I couldn't tell you exactly why it was all in Discord too. They were all talking about it. Because it actually became a no context line. It grows 6 inches on a hot summer day. But it does. And he said that he could bump it up to, higher percentage, but 103 at 63% is like the sweet spot for maintenance and everything like that for the ride. We went and rode Superman.
Feeling.
Yeah, we went and rode Superman later that day, and I wasn't like crazy impressed by it.
Nothing
in my
like
opinion,
hydraulics.
Yeah, it was. It just wasn't everything like I thought it was going to be more. We also kind of got into it at a bad time. Like we had like a 45-minute wait, which isn't like a crazy long wait, but for a ride that literally lasts like 10 seconds.
And you guys are literally just got out of ERT or
basically, yeah, like we walked onto Gold Rusher just to get the cred. And then we walked to Superman. So we did the backstage tour. My wife did the drop tower, which is a walk-on because I don't do drop towers.
Oh my
I don't
gosh,
like drop
Lex
towers.
Luthor was amazing.
So, whole reason about drop towers, I prefer drop tower that faces the ground.
Huh.
Did you do Orlando Freefall being a local?
We were local, but when it opened to when it closed, we weren't home for.
Okay, I got it.
Because it was such a short amount of time, there just wasn't a time for me to be there.
3 months, I want to say.
Yeah, something small. But like Falcon's Fury at Busch Gardens, I'll ride.
Okay.
But it's because it faces the ground.
Yeah.
There's something about a drop tower going to the top and then dropping without me knowing, like seeing where I'm going, that bothers me.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it bothers me, but like there's something like it makes it literally gives me anxiety. Like going to the top of the tower and then just dropping straight down. I would rather go up to Falcon's Fury, get pulled backwards and drop facing the ground because at least I see where I'm going.
Yeah.
Weird, maybe, but it just is what it is. But she did Lex Luthor very happily. Then we did Gold Rush and then Superman. Superman had like a 45-minute wait, and I was like 15-second ride. I mean, it literally took us longer to board and dispatch than it did for the ride itself.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It wasn't my favorite thing. And then we did Ninja and lunch, and then we left not long after lunch because we were, again, tired. But Yeah, it was. The lunch was surprisingly really good.
I thought so too.
Yeah, what did you guys
I
get
was
for
like,
the picnic?
It was just
they
like
had
burgers, but
burgers and chicken tenders, and like they had the best potato salad I've had in a hot minute.
Wow.
It was really good. Yeah,
I
it
thought
was
it
like
good,
shocked. I was really shocked. I was like, I was expecting, chicken tenders and burgers, I think, or hot dogs or something. And then, like, I was sitting there, I'm like, man, this is actually like the mac and cheese was really good.
Yeah.
Like, I was genuinely shocked by actually how good the picnic was. It was surprising, I
And
mean, there's not
what
much to say about theme park chicken tenders, but
I'd taken a trip out to the car before lunch, so I thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
oh, I bet you did. You came back and I'm like, I got to eat now.
Yeah, pretty
Uh,
much.
You're like, these chicken tenders, gonna destroy them.
It was bussin'.
Yeah, unequivocally bussin'. They also had the ice cream. Now it was also getting really cold under that awning, like under the what are they, the covered patio things.
Yeah.
The wind was ridiculously cold. Like, I was not prepared to come to Southern California and see highs of like mid 60s.
Yeah, like I was literally like I think when I left the ERT or the lunch and was walking to I want to say like Wonder Woman or something, I was like shaking. I was like
Yeah,
so cold.
I was shocked by how cold it was. I was like, come on. Like, I came here for like mid 70s. Like,
It was nice at Knott's, and then at Magic Mountain it was cold both days.
yeah, it was. I got to the park on Sunday and I was walking in shivering.
Yeah,
And my wife's like, you didn't bring a jacket? And I was like, it's Southern California.
I know.
Like,
Literally.
I fully didn't expect it to. And I know, like, everybody was like, it's probably going to be cold. But, like, it's also, I'm used to Florida. Like, you say it's cold. Is it actually cold? 60 degrees in Florida is not cold.
It was
Like,
the wind, I swear.
yeah.
California breeze.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it didn't help that Magic Mountain's in, like, a valley.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally in a valley of a mountain. So, like, crazy. The
terrain was
elevation,
crazy. Yeah.
oh, walking through the parks and having to walk up mountainsides to get to each side of the park, my glutes were feeling it at the end of the trip.
Yeah. It was a good workout.
Man, yeah, it was. The hill that's over coming from Superman, like going up to Superman from like the Wonder Woman area, that
Yeah.
hill is no joke.
Brutal.
So, yeah, my calves and everything were feeling it. But yeah, Magic Mountain was incredible. The second day was a lot more relaxed than the first day, in my opinion. There wasn't like as much craziness going on, like because everybody had kind of done their cred run or
Yeah.
tried to at least.
I felt pretty
So,
chill on the second day, having done like everything on the first day.
yeah,
And
I mean, the
then
second day was kind of peaceful.
I skipped Full Throttle on the first day because it was such a long wait all day, and then they surprised us with it for ERT, so I got that
Yeah,
knocked out of the way early, and then I was just riding Twisted Colossus all day for the most part.
yeah, Full Throttle open. We hit Batman and Wonder Woman, and Twisted Colossus right thereafter. And then, of course, we rode Scream, which,
Credit and forget it.
yeah, I mean, honestly, all of the similar models I feel the same about. Aside from
I
Kraken's not
actually,
bad
yeah,
since
I
the
really liked
repaint.
Medusa. at Great Adventure.
Medusa is not too terrible. But Scream was, compared to Medusa and Kraken, trash.
Yeah, considering Scream is a mirror of Medusa, I was surprised that I really did not like it.
Yeah, Medusa's not bad. I'm kind of torn between the two on if I like it more than I like Kraken. Like, I don't know if I like Medusa or Kraken more. They've both had recently been redone, so like, I've ridden both recently, but they're so similar in how they run that it's like, I guess it depends on what the temperature is that day and how you're feeling that day, I guess. That's my opinion on the two.
And last, I did hear your what?
Yeah. Yeah, Medusa's...
I do like Medusa.
It's okay.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty good.
I don't know. When it was Bizarro, it would, I feel like I had more bite. I don't know.
I'll have to ride it when I go to Great Adventure.
But then we did lunch after Scream, which was just, basic theme park chicken tendies, which were not as good as the ones that we had for our picnic.
What the hell did they change?
I don't know.
They got chicken tenders from down the street instead from a fast food place or from. They didn't actually make those.
Listen, the tenders were definitely different. Like, and it sounds stupid, but they were 100% different.
You can definitely tell the difference.
And then the king of all flying coasters, Tatsu. There's not a single. It is god tier level quality. That pretzel loop is one of the most intense elements I've ever felt on a coaster.
Interestingly enough, I found Tatsu to be a little underwhelming.
Oh man, dude, I love the flying coaster style. Like, I love them so much. And I fully went into Tatsu just expecting it to be like Manta or a Superman style.
Yeah.
Whatever. But, and I mean, Manta has always stood the test of time for me as like the top tier flying coaster. I mean, Manta, especially since the repaint, has been nothing but a quality ride every time I've hit it. But man, I got off Tatsu and I literally got off and I rode it with, like, I think I was with Marcus, Mark, Matt, and Gabby, and
oh man,
like, we were like a whole crew, and we all did single rider. So we walked up the exit. There was like 13 of us on single rider, and they got us through in 3 or 4 trains on single rider.
They were killing it.
They were killing it.
A few Tatsu laps, and they were killing it.
And I got on. I said, guys, this is my first ride on Tatsu, and they're like, what's your favorite flying coaster? I said, Manta. I think Mark said, just be prepared for the pretzel loop. Like, be prepared for that loop. And I'm like, and I watched it, from the single rider line. You can watch it, like, running right there.
Yeah.
And holy shit, I got off and I had no words. I was like, this is the best B&M flyer ever that I've ever ridden, at least. Like, it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
For me, it's kind of like I rode Manta for the first time in January of 2022 last year, and I immediately became a raving fan. And then I went and rode my first Superman clone, and I thought it was very mid compared to Manta. So yeah. Tatsu was high on my bucket list, and I actually did find it to be a little bit better than Manta. I think my expectations were just too high.
I think probably because of how much you like Manta or liked Manta, that it, like, and also everyone hyped up Tatsu. Yeah. I mean, I could see if somebody was like about it, but just like I was about Ghost Rider, like, everyone hyped it up so much that it was great and I loved it, but it wasn't like, I think it was overhyped compared to what it. That's why Hang Time stood out to me, is because it wasn't hyped up. X2 is I think the exception of getting hyped up and still living up to its insane hype.
I think
so.
It kind of shows my relationship with B&M because Tatsu's literally still one of my favorite B&Ms, and like my reaction to it is so bland.
Yeah. That's a fair
You're just
point.
Maui statue, just not impressed.
Yeah, pretty much, bro. Like if it's not Fury, I just don't want it. Fury's there.
Bro, I think because Tatsu has been on my bucket list since I had the Throw Rides book from the Scholastic Book Fair. Like, oh man, I need to get on it. And hearing how just seeing how massive the pretzel loop is, like just how massive it is. Like it doesn't seem like it should be a thing.
I'm just like the number one B&M hater, I guess.
Boring and
I felt like all I can say is so I was sitting next to a bunch of people who had never ridden a flying coaster. And the girl goes, "Why do they put us in this position?" And I'm like, I'm just sitting there quiet because I'm not like, I was talking to like people that are that I was with. I didn't want to chime in. And her boyfriend goes, "Oh, this is the like easiest coaster you'll ever ride." And in my head, I'm like, if it's anything like Manta, I wouldn't say it's like an entry level coaster. Like, I wouldn't consider it an entry level coaster. I mean, unless you're going balls to the wall from the start. I mean, like that'd be like getting on X2 and being like, "This will be the best, the slowest, easiest coaster you'll ever ride." I don't think that's true. But we got going, and he literally was shaking when he got off. He's like, "That was the worst roller coaster I've ever." You could tell I don't think he was like prepared for it. But that pretzel loop, he literally was like, you could see that pressure that you feel in your face.
Yes.
And like you feel that it pulls you down into your seat. He was like, "I hate this." That's all he could squeak out on that pretzel loop was how much he hated it. And so he got off shaking, and she was like having a ball. Like she got off, she was like, "Let's go again." And he was like, "I'm not doing it." And I'm like, that's kind of funny that he was like, "This is the easiest coaster you'll ever ride." That changed very quickly.
Unfortunate for that.
But I bet they got in line too, because she seemed very adamant about going round 2. So yeah, I really enjoyed Tatsu. It's definitely one that if I'm at Magic Mountain, I don't want to miss. 100% of the time, I will. That X2, Wonder Woman, Twisted Colossus.
Now,
those I would say are like the top 4.
Is Wonder Woman confirmed to YouTube better than New Jersey Devil? If you both have that credit.
My opinion, Wonder Woman has 2 extra elements, technically. But I think the pacing of Jersey Devil's better, in my opinion.
So I marathoned it during ERT, and I thought it was a sleeper hit, actually. I've got it in my top 25.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Yep.
Still, Jersey Devil sits in my like top. If I had to have a top 15, probably in my top 15.
That's so interesting.
I love it. Wonder Woman, I think, was great. I really do like that that turn right coming in, like before you come into the station. But I think, I don't know, pacing wise, I think Jersey Devil. Although I rode Wonder Woman. I rode Wonder Woman a couple good times, but during ERT, I don't feel like it was running as well. No, I think it was just cold. I don't think it was running as hot.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's where my opinion lies. But I did ride it closer to the, midday, whenever it was the first day we were there, before ERT, because we were there, so why not? And I don't know. There's something about the way Jersey Devil runs that it just feels like it doesn't stop from the time it goes. And I felt like there were some moments on Wonder Woman, very few, but some that it felt like it was trying to catch up to the next element. But that, like I said, that could just be based on the time of day it was running. Because I bet if you rode it at night, it'd be a whole different monster. So, but Twisted Colossus always slaps. That was awesome. I do have a personal love for hybrid coasters from RMC, so I can't really. My judgment may be a little skewed compared to others, but I mean, after our Six Flags over to Georgia with Twisted Cyclone, being one of my very first like real RMCs that I rode before like I really knew about RMC. Like, so my enthusiast side was growing, but I hadn't really learned a whole lot about RMC. And then when I did, after I rode Twisted Cyclone, I was like, wow, I really like that type of coaster. And then I found out all about them. I kind of have a small little love for RMC's hybrid coasters. So my opinion may be a little skewed when it comes to those.
What were your guys' thoughts on Twisted Colossus?
That's my other sleeper hit. It's in my top 10.
Oh shit! Where exactly?
Yeah, number 9. Twisted is right in front of Twisted.
Wait.
Yes, I said it.
No, I'm confused. Like,
Twisted Colossus is in front of Twisted Timbers.
Oh.
I said it.
Well, why exactly?
I mean, so it has more variety. So it brings the airtime. You go through 2 layouts. It has more unique elements. The ejector still hits for me. And I mean, I'm getting stapled rides on Twisted Colossus too. And again, I mean, this is an RMC that for some reason I found that there's not a bad row. Because I was riding all over the train, and like most of the rides were stapled, and I still enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Twisted Timbers. Back row green train, Minlock, So.
I don't know how to put this without sounding kind of in between. I really like the long layout, like the longer layout of Colossus. Like I really, like it was a solid, you feel like you got a really good ride out of the time. Like even if the wait time was like an extreme wait time, you feel like you got a solid ride out of it. Unlike Superman where you wait 45 minutes for 18 seconds.
Yeah.
Or something stupid like that.
Mean, if you get a
like
duel.
Right, and if you get a duel, like you feel like you got your time worth of waiting. But I still really love Twisted Cyclone because it is short and it is sweet, but it like the entire time you're on it, it packs a punch. So I don't know. Colossus was great. To me, it's still one of the probably top 5 RMCs. I would say.
I might have it overrated, but I think that my rides that I got justify that I found it to be a sleeper hit, and it's pretty damn elite.
I mean, it's kind of hard. Like I think I got spoiled with Gwazi opening, right there.
Right.
And so close to home that, like I said with Air Force One, when it opens, I'm not gonna buy a plane ticket to just go ride it, and that's just because I don't think it's gonna hit like Gwazi is, or Gwazi does. Still Vengeance is one of the ones that I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I need to buy a plane ticket to go ride, because if I like Gwazi, but
It's one of those rides where Gwazi's my number one, but I told RC if I could fly to Ohio right now and ride Steel Vengeance, it would probably be my number one. Like, you just never know. Like, those rides are they're so close to me, and like, they're both world class. So
I'm interested to see. I think I'm interested to see when I do get on Steel Vengeance, because I think it even has the older trains, like on Twisted Cyclone and Twisted Colossus. And if it does, that might become my wife's number one, because if it does have that rocking train, like that semi-rocking, I don't even think it's a rock. I think it's just like there's I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like it takes a little bit of the force out of it. But if it's similar trains and it has a similar ride factor as like Twisted Cyclone or Twisted Colossus, I don't know. It may not be as vicious on the body as Gwazi is. I mean, Gwazi, you could literally feel like you got in a car accident with how some of those elements, especially if it's running hot. I mean, you get thrown around like a rag doll, which I love, but for some people that may be too much, But that's kind of where I'm like, Twisted Colossus is probably in my top 5 because it does have the older style cars, which may be a benefit in my opinion. But I know what Air Force One will probably have the same trains as Gwazi. So I guess we'll see.
I know Steve, I think, it was one of the first to do the double axle because it launched with Twisted. Yeah, in 2018, yeah, because that's when they started it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
there is one part specifically inside of all the structure. It's not even an inversion. It's like near the end, where I think if it did the rocking, like you might say, it wouldn't be as like abrupt. But I fucking love it. I think RC knows what I'm talking about. It's like after 1-0 G roll, and then you just all of a sudden get yanked, like almost like they just messed up laterally with the banking.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man, but so I guess I gotta ask one thing. Goliath
was closed.
It was indeed.
What?
The entire time.
Goliath was closed.
I guess
Riddler's was closed. Viper was closed. And then there's 2 kitty credits that were closed.
Well,
yeah, Magic Flyer didn't even have a train on the track.
Yeah, it was Magic Flyer and Canyon Blaster, right?
Yeah, I think so. Oh.
well, I guess. What would y'all say was your X2 probably? Yeah, X2.
100%.
Yeah. Go to Magic Mountain for X2, if anything alone. And it's probably happening for me, and I was booking it, and
if I had to like place a top 5, RC, you could do this with me. What would you say your top 5 at Magic Mountain? Right, X2 is obviously number 1.
So I would say it would be X2, Twisted Colossus, Wonder Woman, Tatsu, and then I guess Full Throttle.
Yeah. See, I think mine would be X2, Twisted Colossus. I'd be torn between probably X2, Tatsu, Twisted Colossus, Wonder Woman, and then Full Throttle.
Fair.
That would probably be my top 5 of those parks, of that park. And then after Magic Mountain and the stumble technically was over, I don't know, when did you fly home?
I flew home the Monday morning.
Monday morning. So you've been home
Yeah.
for a couple days.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, Monday we didn't do a whole lot. We went over to the Santa Monica Pier to get
Nice.
the West Coaster credit. As West Coaster's another one of those credit and forget it. Type deal.
It's iconic, but yeah. Nothing
I
really to
mean,
offer.
I've seen it a million times in GTA.
Yeah.
And honestly, riding it reminded me like riding it on GTA. I felt the same way. But then Tuesday we went to Universal Hollywood, which the opinions are a little different than I thought they would be going there compared to the Orlando. We did a VIP tour at Universal Hollywood, and it was worth the money just for the studio tour that we got, in my opinion. Like there's not many like crazy rides there. There's not like a whole lot going on there. But the studio tour that you get on the VIP tour is awesome. Like you go on a private trolley bus type deal. You go through the prop shop, like the prop department that they have for the actual movie sets and stuff. You get to walk through some of the movie sets. Like you've seen Pirates of the Caribbean, I'm sure.
Yes.
The scene where Jack is running from the military people, and he hides behind a little statue in a little alcove.
It's been
at the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah,
right before
Curse.
he goes into the the very first movie before he goes into the blacksmith shop. Like he's running away down these steps, and he like ducks in behind. I wish I had the clip. I would put it in the chat. There's a scene, and like we literally got to see that spot. Like it was a really cool tour. It was wildly. That's one of the things that would be a must do at Universal. Like if you go, just do the regular studio tour. But in comparison to Orlando, Universal Hollywood has nothing on Orlando or Islands of Adventure. Nothing. The Mummy ride is subpar compared to the one in Orlando.
Interesting.
They're totally different rides. So the Mummy ride in Orlando, I think, has a launch track in it, like a launch section. But it's mostly gravity. You know how the train lifts up and dumps you down, and that's how you start the ride. They don't have that. It's in a smaller building. So they couldn't do all of that crazy stuff. And then they have Flight of the Hippogriff, which actually is better than the one in Orlando, but it's the same exact ride, but the trains are different. So like it made it a much better, and they run two train ops instead of one, which is kind of nice. But really, like, you can tell that Universal Hollywood was kind of like an afterthought, like to the studio itself. Like it was like, oh, we should capitalize on, because it started as a Universal like tour, like a studio tour. Like people would come just to tour the studios, and then people were waiting for the studio tour like in a queue line, and they decided, well, let's open up more attractions for people to do while they're waiting to do the studio tour. And so it turned into what it is, but it definitely doesn't compare to Universal Orlando. So if you want to go for the studio tour, not specifically the theme park. Some people may disagree, but that's just coming from both sides. I've never done a VIP tour with Universal Orlando, but
No, I've heard that one's pretty good. I know they go all the way like through Velasa and stuff. They get, they see like how the I think like the short walk that like the employees use to get through like the two parks, like a shortcut or something.
They do have I want to do it. I want to do a VIP tour with Universal Orlando so I can compare the two. But I will say the studio tour is like, I can't talk it up enough. That was like the best part of the Universal day. Seeing the actual studios and seeing real movie sets. I don't know if you know, like, have you seen the show Bel Air that's been airing?
Is it based off of Fresh Prince of Bel Air?
It's based off of it, but it's the new one that's out that they're doing a TV show on.
I actually haven't.
They were filming on set while we were there. Like they were filmed, like you could see the film trucks and like camera crews. Like they couldn't talk on the mic around certain areas of the tour. Like they have a mic that goes through the trolley bus. Like they had to turn the mic off and not talk because you're driving through like active movie sets and TV shows.
That's crazy.
There's a TV show that literally we were watching basically them act out in an airplane on a regular set. It was kind of wild. I don't remember what it was called, but it was just a show that they were filming. So that was kind of nice to get to like see, but like I said, money wise, it's pretty expensive to go to Universal Hollywood, I think, for what they have there.
Yeah. Generally, I think that's generally how most people feel about it. They go to Disneyland, they're like, why just go there in those parks? Don't even tell people to really go to Hollywood. I haven't really heard anyone do the studio tour, so that is interesting to hear that. If you were to
studio tour is incredible.
Yeah, to do the studio tour.
Yeah, I would say that's worth that alone is what makes it worth it. But that's just me.
So Tuesday, or was that the only thing you did on Monday?
Yeah, Monday all we did was a Santa Monica Pier. Sunday night, we actually finally got a good night's sleep. At least a decent night's sleep. We slept till like 10:30 in the morning, and we went to bed pretty early. I mean, we weren't out late. So we slept for quite a while. And then Monday we didn't do anything really other than Santa Monica Pier. We drove up Mulholland in the car we rented. I don't know if you guys know who David Dobrik is, but he has a pizza place.
Oh, nice.
So we checked out his pizza place that's on Sunset. It was right there, like pretty easy to get to. So it was pretty good. It was pizza. It's not the best pizza I've ever had, but it was all right. And then Wednesday we flew out in the afternoon. We got home pretty late last night, and then we slept today for my wife to work tonight. So, and then now we are. So my stumble officially ended yesterday, sadly. And I'm sure after this podcast, I'm going to feel the post-stumble blues.
You're like, all right, when's the next trip?
Yeah,
Where can
and
I
it's
go
sad.
next? Hey, but
I
Just need June to hurry up.
well, Drake told me that I needed to come to the Hollywood Nights, but isn't it like a separate ticketed event?
Yeah.
it's looking that way, and our theory of potentially them maybe giving some more waves out, it's not looking like it's happening. I don't know. They haven't said anything yet. It's still February, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those like I've never been, but like if I want to do Stumbles of Fun, I don't know if I could pull both and pull both off. They're, only 2 weeks apart, I think, if I'm not mistaken. They are only 2 weeks apart, right?
I
Yeah.
have to look at the schedule, but that sounds about right.
Yeah, Hollywood Nights is June 2nd and 3rd, and Stumble of Fun is June 17th. So that'll give you an idea. So yeah, I don't know if I could pull both of those back to back.
Yeah, if that's the Stumble, basically that's all the itinerary, because it's the main topic. So generally, just go over closing thoughts, which I need to get to Cali pronto.
Yeah, I need some more strawberry shortcake.
Okay. But like, yeah, I want that strawberry shortcake too, to be honest, bro. I want a piece.
Come on over, my boy.
But regardless, like those, that is generally a hot spot for enthusiasts, and I am so happy you guys got to experience it the way you did with the buzz bars, and I really don't know if there's any better way. Like, just being around that vibe and then getting those creds. Super happy for you guys, man.
Yeah, it was a good trip, and listen, when you decide to go out to Cali, if we plan it right, maybe I can meet you guys out there, just for the shits and giggles of it. Why not?
I'm looking. Alaska Airlines is going there a lot for some reason. To be called Alaskan Airlines is all I'm saying.
Yeah, we flew JetBlue.
Oh, JetBlue
out there, not a non-stop flight from JFK to LAX, so wasn't too bad. We actually got pushed up to first class on the way home, which was kind of cool.
Oh wow!
There was only 47 people on our flight from LAX to JFK.
Yeah, people want to stay
next
in
to nobody.
Cali, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. But yeah, if you guys go out to Cali again, let me know. I'd try to make a trip.
Sure, for sure. Aaron, thank you for being a guest, stepping in, talking.
Well, thank you for inviting me out. I can't wait. I know I've met URC, but I can't wait to meet you West at the next Stumble that you make it to and that we're all at.
Absolutely.
Maybe
or even a park, like.
Yeah, maybe one time when we're all together, we can record a podcast.
Yeah.
On camera. I'll bring some of my camera gear and mics, and we'll bust out a recorded pod on camera.
Oh, that definitely might have to be the move. But no.
But
so where can they find all your content, Aaron?
It is the Ride Factor on basically everything: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just a theme park fan that loves roller coasters and makes content I enjoy making. Looking to do a big challenge here soon in Florida I'm kind of keeping that on the low to see if I can make it work. It'll involve a very, very long day. So if I can make that happen, I don't want to spoil it too soon. But if people want to subscribe, they can go drop a subscription, and if it happens, it'll be a great video. But yeah, the ride factor. My name is Aaron, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and sit around and shoot the shit about roller coasters. I'm sure I got a little bit of it out of my system, but we could probably talk for the next 25 hours or more about roller coasters. So, yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I really enjoyed it.
Of course, man. Of course, if you want to find us, if you're listening on one of the places, want to find another place, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and I think potentially other places. I'm slowly putting them out everywhere. I'm just trying to figure out where everyone's listening to podcasts. But if you want to listen in a YouTube format, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube at West Tower, where I just put the last 2 of my summer vlogs out, where RC, you get to work on where my Discord profile picture come from. I get to work on Cedar Point and Kennywood vlogs, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, you can find us at the High Rollers on Instagram, where we're just throwing up polls. Like I said, if you want to be involved in these polls, influence them, go ahead and follow that. RC, where can they follow you?
Find me at Old Line Airtime on Instagram.
Where you can see where he sleuths away all the time, just making sneaky trips.
Got one coming up tomorrow.
That's crazy that it's tomorrow already.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well,
these late nights.
Talking about coasters and shooting the shit, man. Catch y'all on the next episode 9 in the books. Keep it real. Keep it easy, homies. Peace out.
Peace.